Hello everyone, Michael Bretti here from Bretti Musical Instruments. I've got another exciting custom ocarina set unveiling for this video. So without further ado, I'd like to give a first look and listen to batch number 14 of high-end wooden inline ocarinas from Bretti Musical Instruments. So over the course of this video, I'm going to be diving into the background of the build, give a look at the wood selection and some up-close details of each of the ocarinas, as well as give some sound samples of each ocarina and a full song demo at the end. So jumping right into it, this batch consists of 3 ocarinas, serial numbers 37, 38, and 39. These ocarinas are made as a tenor E4 set. So still the tenor E4 is one of my personal favorite sizes. It has a really nice rich mellowness to it. It's not as deep as a bass, and it kind of bridges that gap with the altos as well. And just has a really smooth, a bit softer type response and tone, but kind of a unique characteristic that I've come to really enjoy from this particular size of the ocarina. So I also want to mention that this ocarina ended up being a birthday gift for the customer from their spouse. So I want to say first off to my customer, who's probably watching this video, to help make their final decision on which ocarina they're going to select from this batch. Happy belated birthday. I know it's been a bit of a wait, but I hope you enjoy your soon-to-be new ocarina. So this build was definitely a very interesting build from the perspective of wood selection and going through that process. I think this was probably one of the most intensive selection processes that I've gone through for a particular ocarina set. Sometimes the customer knows immediately what they want and they know the woods right off the bat. Other times there's a lot of back and forth discussion with some really good ideas. And for this particular set, we really covered everything. We went over tons of different wood selections and combinations, from the top wood, the bottom, the mouthpiece, lamination to no lamination, going over tons of different woods and different boards and aesthetics. And I think we ended up on a really unique combination of woods that I wouldn't have thought of putting together myself. So every single build is a journey, and every single one has been just so fun, especially with these custom builds, and getting a chance to work with really unique combinations that the customer ultimately selects that, again, I wouldn't have even thought to put together. And I think this set turned out very nicely in terms of tone and aesthetic. So I think right off the bat, the customer knew they wanted the woods, and that wood was olive wood. Now, at the time, we didn't really know where the olive would go necessarily. We looked at options for the olive for the bottom. We looked at options for olive for the top. And that was also looked at with pairing with redwood. So typically for higher end or custom ocarinas, I use redwood for the mouthpiece as opposed to aromatic cedar. And customer actually went back and forth with me on a lot of different options, from a redwood body to olive wood top, redwood top to olive wood body, redwood body with olive top and a cedar mouthpiece. So a whole bunch of different combinations, really going back and forth. But again, early on, I think olive with some touch of redwood was part of that aesthetic that I think the customer wanted to capture in this build. And looking at the various combinations for the tops and the bodies and everything, the first wood selection we decided upon was the olive for the top. And I had actually purchased this way back months ago, before I even started moving forward on the build, securing a few boards of really nice custom milled olive from one of my suppliers. So kind of jumping right in, we'll take a look at the first wood of the ocarina. Now, normally I usually start with the body wood because that really ends up defining the theme of the ocarina typically. However, because olive was really the key wood from the very beginning, we're going to start off with the olive wood. So you can see here for the top, we have really nice olive olive top for the ocarina. So it has this beautiful classic olive veining that runs through the wood. This was my first time working with olive, and I've got to say it is a really phenomenal wood to work with. It carves like butter. It works really nicely. It polishes up amazingly. I did learn that it is a tiny bit oily, and I have found that sometimes some oily woods can actually interfere with the varnishing process a little bit in the beginning, which ended up being a little bit of a challenge for the first layer of varnish. However, subsequent layers afterwards ended up applying perfectly fine, and again, that olive polishes to just an absolute amazing gloss. I mean, you can see the reflection. That's like a mirror. That is a really beautiful gloss look to the olive. Next, incorporating in the redwood, after going back and forth with a whole bunch of options, it was decided that we would go for a different selection for the body and stick with the redwood for the mouthpiece. So you can see here we have the redwood mouthpiece. So this is again a nice curly redwood. And I decided because of the woods and the color palette between the body and the top to go with a little bit of a lighter redwood. I have a range of redwoods. Some are much darker red, some are a little bit lighter reddish, kind of a tinge of orange to it, and a little bit of different range. And for this particular build, I felt that the lighter redwood, which I haven't used as much, I've used a lot more darker redwoods, but I think the lighter redwood ends up pairing nicely with the overall color palette of this instrument. So finally going into the body of this build, again, we had gone over a whole bunch of different options. We knew that we were going with the olive wood for the top and the redwood for the mouthpiece. We looked at, again, redwood for the body. We looked at, there's just so many options. I can't remember completely off the top of my head. We looked at tiger wood and a few others. And part of this, a large part of looking at the various woods was also kind of trying to work in the woods and aesthetic that the customer wanted to fit within their budget. And they had mentioned in a comment that they thought tiger wood kind of looked like koa and would be cheaper. And I looked into it and I told the customer, we can get koa, really nice pieces of koa for definitely within your budget. So if you want koa, let's absolutely go with koa. So we looked at a few different, a number of boards actually, probably at least half a dozen different koa boards. And the customer ended up selecting this really beautiful lighter orange koa. So I have used koa before in other builds. Actually, my prior unveiling with the heavily figured koa top. So this is a lighter orange koa. That one was a really dark, much heavier, really intensely iridescent koa. This particular koa is a much lighter orange, and even though it was technically a more plain, unfigured type koa, you can actually see if you move it in the light, there is still light bands of iridescence and color and curl in the koa. I think in general, koa is known to be one of the most chatoyant woods in the world. So even just regular plain koa is going to have this really beautiful iridescence to it. It's one of the most iridescent woods, natural woods out there. And it gives it a really beautiful just look to it and movement in the light. So again, we can see here kind of that nice lighter orange koa. So on one side, there's a really nice light pale orange. And on the other side, you have a little bit of a darker grain. And you can kind of see that here where it's lighter on this side and then gets a little bit darker on this side. And there's some, nice dark banding that goes down vertically with this wood. Koa again it's a hardwood, but it is a very light wood, and it's relatively soft, but it has a beautiful resonance to it. Not only for a tone wood for things like guitars and ukuleles, but I've even found for flutes, it has a really beautiful smoothness to the tone. And I think pairing kind of that softer, lighter koa on the bottom with the really heavy, hard olive wood top really played nicely into the smoothness of the tone of this particular ocarina. And actually, when I see these ocarinas and I look at them and I went kind of through the build, to myself mentally, I've been referring to this build as my orange creamsicle build, just because for me, as soon as I see these this wood combinations with again that really nice light orange and that kind of cream color of the olive, for me this build just feels like an orange creamsicle, and honestly, I think it plays very smoothly. It's like eating the tone for me. I've likened ocarinas to foods before. I've had some darker mustard type woods, some graham cracker type woods, some rich dark chocolate type woods. So for me, the tone and the look of this really kind of reminds me of, again, just a really good orange creamsicle on a nice summer day. So that's kind of a look at this particular wood. And again, you can see with the lighter koa, the lighter olive, kind of having that nice pared down, lighter curly redwood, I think ties it together a little bit more than having a darker, more contrasting type mouthpiece. So now to give a sound sample of this ocarina, I actually play this one in the beginning with the intro theme, but I'm going to go up and down the full scale so you can hear the entire range of the instrument. So this is a sound sample of number 37. So again, playing this, just the way the notes flow from it, the back pressure, just the feel, it's just such a smooth playing set of ocarinas. And for some reason, whatever it is, I think it's a combination of just the breath pressure I use, which is lower breath pressure, I think, for the E4s. The E4s typically end up being a little bit more reserved than some of my other ocarinas. But just that voicing, the back pressure, and the overall tone of the E4s lends itself to a very smooth, warm ocarina. And these particular ocarinas, when you play it, you can really feel that smoothness. Again, I've said this before, but it's really like honey. Just like when you play it, that resonance, that smoothness is just like a mouthful of honey. So I really enjoyed that aspect of these ocarinas. And in fact, this whole set is extremely well matched in terms of voicing, tone, response, and the woods. I think this is one of those sets that really came together as a very well matched tonally and physically in terms of the wood aesthetic as well. So moving on, we have number 38. So we're going to be looking at the top again first. So we've got the really nice olive wood top. And the one thing about each of these are a little bit different in the grain pattern. So I'll go over kind of the subtle differences between the olive tops after I go through the last one. But whereas number 37 kind of has kind of more uniform, even grain, numbers 38 and 39 actually have this nice band of just the grain that I think kind of stands out, because you have kind of this waviness of the grain of the olive, and then there's just like this cut right here, just this smooth cut of grain that kind of stands out. And actually, the way that the board was cut, these two ocarinas are in fact mirrored in terms of the grain. So depending if you like a left-hand side look for that cut or a right-hand side look for that cut, or kind of just a neutral type grain, this set covers all three. So again, you have just that beautiful, amazingly polished olive wood. Again, this was just such a joy to work with. It plays smoothly, it works smoothly. It's a fun wood to work with, and I know now why it's popular for a number of other crafts. So we have the lighter curly redwood mouthpiece, and then we have the nice light orange cream type koa. And you can see as I move it back and I kind of move it in the light, you have that iridescent shimmer running horizontally across the grain. Really characteristic again with koa, really that beautiful iridescence that's inherent to this particular wood species. Now, unlike the other one, in terms of the koa, the light and the dark bands are on the opposite sides. So for this one, you have the light band on the right-hand side, and you have kind of the darker banding on the left-hand side. So you can see it's lighter over here, and then as it moves across, you have this nice kind of darker, almost, I believe, like heartwood from the regular grain of the particular wood. So I think it adds a nice uniqueness, and I've always liked having that mix of heartwood and changes in that between heartwood and sapwood, or different variations in the banding in the woods. I think that gives it a little bit of extra unique character. So giving a sound sample for this is going up and down the scale for number 38. So like number 37, this one is just so smooth playing. It has almost the same breath pressure. There's really almost no difference between all these ocarinas. I'd have to say, if I really, really, really had to nitpick, maybe number 38 is just a marginal fraction of a hair lower breath pressure that's needed for the low end. So the low end is maybe just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit more reserved. But all of them, have that same kind of warm low end, really resonant, going up kind of the mid range on the left hand in particular, and then really crystal clear, really sweet high notes with no airiness at all. So again, really fantastic sounding and playing ocarinas. Finally, we get to the last one of this set. This is number 39. So again, looking at the grain of the olive, We have, again, that nice banding that goes vertically. This one, again, has kind of that interesting patch that I think really stands out on this side. So this, again, is on the right side, whereas for this one, you have that kind of unique patch on the left side of the ocarina. But again, kind of that nice, beautiful olive wood veining. You have the light curly aromatic cedar, or I'm sorry, not aromatic cedar, redwood mouthpiece. And then you have the really nice light orange iridescent koa. And this one, I think the dark part of the wood is a little bit lighter. So like number actually 37, whereas the dark banding is on the right side of these, and the dark banding is on the left side for number 38. This one I think has probably the lightest variation. So the left side here and the right side here are a little bit closer in tone, but you have this really nice dark streak going right through the grain there that I think is a little bit different from the other two. That's kind of a nice feature of this koa as well. So now playing up and down the scale for number 39. This is what this particular one sounds like. So again, like the other two, really sweet, smooth playing. Same exact type of back pressure. I'd say, again, super, super, super nitpicking. Numbers 39 and 37 are probably almost identical, with number 38 being slightly, slightly more reserved on those lower notes. But otherwise, everything else plays really exactly the same. They sound all incredible. And really, it probably would come down to the aesthetic, whether you like the dark banding of the koa on the right side or the left side, or just how the grain kind of flows for the olive as well. So I don't think there's definitely not a wrong or better or worse choice from this set. It's just all just minor tiny details in the aesthetic that really kind of gives each one its own unique character. So that kind of wraps up the look and kind of background of this ocarina. And again, I gotta say, this was a fun and unique build, just because the combination of woods was unexpected. I think it's almost a little bit of a quirky combination, and I wasn't sure how it would turn out in the beginning, but definitely seeing it all come together and just hearing it, I think this was one of those really unexpected little gems of a build that really came together nicely. So now, to put things into a more musical context, I'm going to be playing a full song demo, so you can hear kind of the range of the ocarina more in action beyond the scale. So for this particular demo, I'm going to be doing a simple demo of Epona's song from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So please enjoy this rendition of Epona's song. So with that, that wraps up this batch unveiling for this custom Tenor E4 set. Again, this is batch number 14, consisting of Italian olive wood, Hawaiian koa, and curly redwood. So for the customer who's looking to make their decision, again, happy birthday, and I hope you you know, enjoy whichever ocarina you pick. I'm sure, you know, you can't go wrong with any of them. So whichever one you feel speaks to you the most is the one for you. So best of luck with that decision, and I can't wait to see which one you choose and to hear how you progress with this ocarina. So for those of you who like these developments and want to follow along more, you can check out the Bretti Musical Instruments Instagram, which is at this point the most updated in terms of builds. So I have looks at new woods coming in, various builds in production, new instruments, and a whole bunch of exciting updates. You can also find information on the Bretti Musical Instruments Facebook page, where I post build pictures and links and major announcements for each of the ocarina sets, as well as new unveiling videos and performance demos of these instruments right here on the Bretti Musical Instruments YouTube page. So if you'd like to commission an ocarina like this, or like ones that you've seen before, or whatever woods that really resonate with you, just feel free to reach out and my contact information or any of the social media that I'm involved with. And with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.